Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Michelle Dutrissa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. So hopefully today we'll have better luck with cameras than we did the other day. I am using cameras that are still quite good, but the phone part wasn't working so well. And I think my old one that I was using has maybe gone past its use by date as far as also the camera. So now I've inherited my husband's old camera, which is actually quite a good camera. But as I said, the the phone part's getting old. But I'm going to use this one until it will die on me. So hopefully we won't have any more issues today. So please jump on, say hello, let me know where you're from. What are we looking at today will be a product from the new mini catalogue. And I'm going to turn this camera down now and get started. So jump on, say hi, as I said, and let me know where you're from. It's always great saying hello to new people. Okay, let's get going. Okay, so this is our new mini catalogue, which is this one here. If you live here in Australia and you don't have a copy of this catalogue and you would like one, please let me know and I can get one out to you. So we're looking at a product called Joy of Christmas. Now, the other day I said that I was opening my big brown box, my BBB, and this is what I had in it. Unfortunately, I've had a crook back the last day or so, I unpacked it earlier today with the help of my husband. Not that there was much in it because a lot of it was just recouping on stock, but I had this in there and I've been itching to get hold of this and play with it. Now, the one thing I did do, because this is actually quite a big suite, it has two stamp sets, two sets of coordinating dies. As you can see, let me just move this along a bit. As you can see here, it has designer series paper, then it has some specialty designer series paper. It's got some ribbon that goes with it, and it's got this bling here as well, which is loose holly and sequins. So what I've done, just for cost-wise for myself at the moment, I've only purchased the designer series paper and the Joy of Noel stamp set and dies. And am I regretting it? Yes, I am. I wish I had bought the other set now. So my next order will hopefully have the rest of this in it. It just makes it a little bit more affordable. Hi, Deb. How are you? Thanks for joining today. By buying it in bits and pieces. So you still get your 10% discount when you buy a bundle as a bundle. So that's your stamp set and your dies. I've just bought some of the other coordinating pieces individually. So that's what we're going to have a bit of a play with. As I said, I haven't played with it all. All I've done is cut some of this up. So let me just pop this to one side. This is the stamp set. Now, I'm sorry there's a bit of a shine on that. It only has really a couple of sentiments. I mean, of course, you've got the Noel. You've got making spirits bright and joyous, and I think that's one of the things I was a little bit disappointed. The other stamp set, which I should have got at the same time as this one, also had the other sentiments in it. I'm just regretting it, Deb, because I think I should have bought the whole lot. I just couldn't afford it because my sewing business pays for my stamping, basically. And it's such a large suite because there's two sets of dies and two sets of bundles, two sets of there's designer series paper and specialty paper, and I only purchased basically half of it. I should have. It's my fault. I should have got the whole lot. I'm not disappointed in the product at all. I'm disappointed in me. But then that's the way things go. So I'm going to place an order for the rest of it, and I think it's going to be actually quite a beautiful suite. I was tossing up between two of them, and this is the one I decided to go for, but I just had to buy it in two halves. So no regret as far as the product itself is concerned. Just as I said, regret in myself that I didn't stretch my limits a little bit more and buy the rest of it. But I've just had 2 weeks off sewing, so getting my machines, and spent a lot of money getting my machines repaired. So the funds that I had saved are just dwindled. So I just have to build that up a little bit, and then we'll have the rest of it. But that's okay, because it just makes it exciting when the next lot comes in. So you've got these stamp sets here. They're our photopolymer stamp set. You've got coordinating dies, which are beautiful, so you can cut out your Noel. You've got your outline pieces to cut out these 2 pieces and this one here. You've got a bit of fernery here. You've got these little leaves here that you can use to slip into different places. You've got, like, I would assume they're little berry pieces, or 2 little dots actually, because there's 2 little dots there. So I suppose you could pop that over just Noel. You could use it as a cut them all out and use it in a line, not just in your square as it has got it in the stamps. Hi Marty, how are you? It's hard to know which ones to buy. It is, and I ummed and ahed, but hey, we made the choice, and yeah, I wish I could have got the whole lot, but we will have it all eventually. So that's quite a nice set of dies. Now I usually always keep my dies with my stamp set, so that's just a little tip that I have for you. And what I do is, when this all comes in this plastic sleeve here, and then it comes in this cellophane bag. I always keep my cellophane bags, because I will eventually take those off here. So I take that out, I open my stamp set up, and I will place that portion into there. I do it this way because I have lack of storage. If anyone has seen my photos of my room, hi Glenda, how are you? I'm very limited to where I can put things, so this just helps me keeping everything together. And that means too, when I pick up the stamp set, I've got the dies. So what I generally do now would be to very carefully remove all my dies from this. Now, probably if I had more space, I may store this differently. That then will go into my garbage bin. I then take all these pieces, and with this cellophane bag here, now I have sealed it back up I'm just going to cut the top of that part off. I don't like mucking around with the sticky tape every time I've got to access my dies. Pop all those dies in there, in that little cellophane bag. Now, I've tried putting magnets in here. I just could get the right weight magnets and everything to hold it. So I just now pop that in there, and then it's all stored together. I just haven't figured out yet what to do with these. I have got a stack of these lying about. I store some of my, like I've now got 2 packs of these, so they may go in here. I store my memories and more cards in here because they just come wrapped up in plastic. What else do I have put into here? If I'm cutting up all of this designer series paper and I've only got little bits of it left, I might pop them into there. But otherwise, yeah, I'm still trying to work out exactly what to do with lots of these, because when I sell these on too, I don't usually sell this. I keep that part, and then when I sell these on at the end of the time period when these have been discontinued, it goes like this and makes it a lot easier. Maybe a little bit dearer to sell because it's a little bit more weighty, but it's easier if people are wanting a cheaper price for postage. So that's just what I do with my dies, and then they're all stored in a bookcase. But they're together, so when I pick this up, I'm not now fishing around trying to find my coordinating dies. So that's just what I do with that. Now, the next thing I want to show you is the designer series paper, and this is beautiful. Now, if you don't like shaded spruce, I think you might like shaded spruce after this. So this is the designer series paper. I'll show you one side. I've cut it down to 10 centimeters by 15, I suppose it would be, because it's 30.5 centimeters square, I think, whatever 12 inches is. So I've cut it down to 10 centimeters wide and basically by 6 inches. So 10 centimeters by 6 inches. Mixture of measurements there, but roughly 10 by 15. So you've got that beautiful one. You've got the check. Beautiful leaves. Like, it's all hand painted. It's all got that look of being hand painted. Hi, Lorraine. How are you? Which I really love. I love watercolor and I love all that hand painting. And you've got that one there, which is your holly and your berries. You've got the shaded spruce in the check, and then this one here in check. Now, I've cut these up, as I said. Just be very careful when you do cut these up. They don't, this side of the paper doesn't have, or doesn't seem to have much of a design, like a one-way design, which is what we talk about in fabrics. Except for this larger print. You've got this leaf here and these pine cones that all go up and down. Now, on these two papers, when I turn them over, they're a wood grain. So with this one here, I've cut it in a portrait. So I've got my pine cones going up and down, but it means my wood grain's going across. So if you're wanting to cut this up into smaller pieces, just be aware what's happening on your back of it. It doesn't matter with a lot of the others. So let me show you the reverse side of all of these. So those two come in those two wood grains. And, of course, that is in the Pecan Pie, and the other colour is Pebble Path. Then you have the Pebble Path with the music on it. It's actually more grey than Pebble Path. That one's sort of more Pebble Path, but more the browny colours in it. Flip this one over, and you've got like a mottle in the cherry cobbler and real red. I flip this one over. You've got Pecan Pie with the music. This is one of the things I really want about this. I love the music. And then you've got the mottle in the shaded spruce as well. So beautiful papers. So let's get started. Now, I've got an idea in mind. A friend of mine in England who's a Stampin' Up demonstrator did a beautiful card the other day, and I really loved her design. Now, she didn't use these products, but I really loved her card layout because it was actually quite basic. So what I've got here is a piece of cardstock, which is half a sheet of cardstock. So whether you're in America or here in Australia, I seem to feel like I'm falling apart at the moment. My knees are giving out, my wrist is giving out, and my camera is starting to freeze a little bit. So let's just keep everything moving and hopefully it'll all work okay. Okay, then. So what she had was, her card was in basic white, and then she had a strip, probably about a 1-inch strip, 2.5 centimeter strip down this side here. She had that in a plain color, and then she had beautiful flowers and everything that she'd colored, and it was just gorgeous. And if you want to go and look her up, her blog name is Songbird. Oh, I can't remember now. Terrible. I'm one of those days. One of those days the memory's just gone. So I just want a plain to go on here, and I'm actually thinking of using this one here, using my music notes, because I just want something that's just going to anchor this card down. And so that may go on there. So I'm not going to cut that out yet until I've actually done some stamping and some colouring, and then we'll see how we go. So the images that I'm going to use is going to be this larger image here, and I'm going to stamp that using my Memento. So remember, with your photopolymer, you just want to peel them off. You don't want to pull them off, particularly when they're new, because you don't want to stretch it. So I hope everyone's had a really good week. It's been interesting here in the Southern Highlands because we've... Oh, I've just got to get my block out, sorry. We had very warm weather earlier in the week, to the point that down to T-shirts, no jumpers, thongs on the feet. Hi, Deborah, how are you? Down to just lightweight cotton blankets on the bed at night. Then yesterday afternoon at 4 o'clock, it was like someone switched the heat off and switched the cold on. And I'll tell you, that's the Southern Highlands. We can go through 2 or 3 seasons sometimes in one day. So at the moment, I've still got my lightweight pants on, but I've got a T-shirt on, I've got to put a jumper on, and I'm still cold. But, oh, well, it's the beauty of living here in the lovely part of the Southern Highlands. Mind you, I've been saying to everybody, we're still going to get a cold spell, but I decided to believe my husband and wear some lighter weight clothing. Won't listen to him from now on. How dare he send me up the wrong path. Okay, so I'm just stamping this off, and I've just realised I really should have my foam mat underneath, but I do have a big wad of paper here underneath, which is my scratch paper. Sometimes I think, when it's an outline, you can get away with not having your foam underneath. It's when you're using a solid block image, you definitely need to use your foam. And that's because the photopolymer stamps don't have any foam, so there's no give to allow it to match. Now, I am going to actually stamp that one more time. I think I want 3 of these. So we'll give this another stamp here. Now, of course, they're a beautiful outline stamp set, so you can colour them in. And I'm going to colour these in. You can colour them in with your blends or with your watercolour pencils. I am going to be using the watercolour pencils, I think, today, and probably the blender pen from the alcohol blends to blend some of my colour. Now, I'm just having a quick look to see whether there's anything else I want to add into this. I think at the moment, no, that's about it. I love this piece, but I'm not quite sure yet where I can put it in. And that's in a die in the other set. So that's one of the reasons I thought, oh, gee, I wish I had that now for that. So let's have a look at what watercolour pencils we've got. So I do want Old Olive, and I may have to, let's see if I've got another Old Olive here. What colour's that one? That's Garden Green. Sure. Is there a shaded spruce? Maybe there's not. What's that one? Coastal Cabana? No. There's an Old Olive. Maybe I will go back to the blends. Let's have a look. cherry cobbler, real red, do have to buy myself some of the new set, I think, of pencils. I think there's 1 or 2 colours they've taken out of these, and there's 1 or 2 colours they've added in. Okay, let's just play with those. I know I don't have the shaded spruce, but that's okay. I do have it in the blends, and you can mix the two together a little bit. So let's have a play with this one first. So I'm just going to, all I'm doing is just laying down the colour. I'm not being too fussy about how I'm doing it. But I'm doing those leaves in that, and I just want a little bit of the other green just to add a bit more colour in there, especially around the base and up that centre part. And then on the holly, I'm going to just use this green here. Now I'm not adding too much colour to that because I do want just to allow the blender pen to move it out and have it quite soft. So now I'm going to grab the 2 reds, put a little bit of cherry cobbler in each of these. And I'm putting that cherry cobbler at the base. And then the real red, I'm going to put a bit of that. I might just sharpen that. I want a nice point on that pen, on the pencil, sorry. And I'm just putting a little bit of the real red at the top. Now I'm just going to come in with my Stampin' Blends, my colour lifter. Not quite sure whether I called it the right thing earlier. I'm hoping I've got enough colour lifter in there. And I'm just going to spread that colour out and flick that out. Now the colour lifter is a lot softer on your basic white cardstock, whereas if you use the blender pens that come with, that you can purchase, oh sorry, just lost something out of my pocket, it can ball the paper up if you overwork it too much. So by using the blender pen, the colour lifter, which is an alcohol base to move your watercolour pencil, it's much softer and it doesn't peel your basic white cardstock, or your whisper white cardstock. That's called basic white now, isn't it? Okay, so again, I'm just pushing that colour out. I tend to use the fine tip pen on a lot of my cards. Just the fact it's smaller areas, so I like using it. It's really a personal preference. Just colour in those berries and mix those colours up a little bit. And this is just a very, very quick way, and I've just found that I've got one leaf that I missed of colouring these in, and just wipe your pen off. So I've just missed this leaf here, so I'm going to add that, and then quickly get that one done. I'm just going to give this one a try with the broader nib. I'm just going to, it's like I've got a little bit of colour on my nib a bit, so I'm just going to run it on my paper until that's run clear. So that's the first one done. So very simple, quick. Whoops, don't throw away lids. So let's grab the other one and quickly get that one done as well. And then we can die cut all of those out. So the more colour you leave on your cardstock with the pencil, the darker that is going to be. So if you want a lot of darkness at the bottom here of your leaf, where the leaf joins onto the stem, you want to put a lot more colour on that area. Okay. I love colouring in. Does anyone else enjoy colouring in? I find it very, very relaxing. Something like this, you don't need to put a lot of detail into it, so you can achieve quite a good effect quite quickly. Okay, the cherry cobbler. Okay, so that's that all done. So let's colour all of these in. Oops, I'm going to use the finer tip. Just give that flicking motion just to flick that colour out so you're sort of lighter at the top. You want to leave a little bit of white space on all of those leaves and everything because it's supposed to have like a water wash type effect. And a lot of the watercolouring, there is a lot of white space. You don't necessarily need to cover every single little part of the leaf or the flower or whatever it is that you're colouring. Just make sure you do clean your pen nib off before you move on to the next one. I missed a berry, did I? I haven't colour. I have to. There we go. Thank you very much. I'm glad you guys are watching. Now, of course, you could come in. Let's see if this is going to work for me with a bit of white. Could just add that little bit of white in there. Now, you don't necessarily even need to colour that in if you just want tone a little bit of this down a little bit. Sometimes I don't think it makes very much difference. It can do when you're using it with blends. Didn't clean my nib too well there. Got a bit of red, but that's okay because you do actually have red in leaves. Now, this little berry here I didn't get. What actually I think I might do is just come back in and add a little bit more depth in here. Just at the bottom. All of those berries. And I am just going to add a little bit of a flick through on these ones with a bit of you can use a red, you could use a bit of a brown just to give it a little bit of depth. I'm not going to spread that colour out. I'm just going to leave it in there. And this is where it's really good sometimes with working with a very sharp pencil. So school holidays are starting this afternoon. So is anyone having grandkids or doing anything exciting with kids or grandkids over the holidays? Because my children are all grown up, so I won't be, and I don't have grandkids yet. What set is it you're colouring, Michelle? I'm colouring one of the new ones out of the mini catalogue, which is the Joy of Noel. That is from this suite here, which is the Joy of Christmas suite. So quite a pretty suite. I love to colour, so I love it when I get black and white outline drawings. Yes, that was the colour lifter I was using, Jenny. I like using the colour lifter on my basic white. It doesn't pill your paper like what your, let me grab the other one. And unfortunately, sometimes I get the names mixed up between the two. But yeah, the blender pen can, because it's more of a, like for water based, it can, if you overwork it on your basic white paper, you can start to pill your paper up. And I like, so I saw something with Patty Bennett earlier this year, where I think it was, where she was using, she'd seen someone else using a blender pen. So I've been trying that out, and I find it actually quite good. I've also purchased, I haven't had a chance to play with it as yet, some oh, it's not turpentine, I can't, it's underneath my trolley here, I can't reach it at the moment, but it doesn't have an odor, it's an odorless one, which I want to give that a try. And you use cotton buds and so forth to move your colour around, and that's supposed to work quite well too with your basic white. But that's something for me to play with. But at the moment, the alcohol, the colour lifter works quite well. It's not a metho, it's actually a turpentine, but it's color, it's odorless. I don't think I can reach it. It's sort of gone to the back. Just let me have a quick, see if I can get to it. There we go. Falling down. It's called Gamsol. And it's a 100% pure odorless mineral spirits. So it's mineral spirits. So yeah, and I've got a little jar somewhere, and I've read that if you put some cotton wool at the bottom of your jar, yeah, you use it with stubs, and you can use it with cotton balls. I've got to get some stubs though. Yeah, so I'm wanting to play with this, but I just haven't had a chance yet to do it. So, but I think it will come out very much similar to that. I've had a little bit of a play. I don't know, I'm trying to remember now, did I use it on this one? This was just in with my pencils, but I had a little bit of play on one of these, where I just stamped the cupcake on some melon mumbo, I think it might have been. Yeah, so it's something I want to play more with. I haven't I've played enough to go, yes, I like it, but I want to get some stubs, and yeah, I just want to have a bit more of a try. But I did read the best way to use it is to actually get a small, like a baby jar, baby food jar, and put some cotton ball in it, and then pour a little bit of on there. So because if you don't want to be playing with an open bottle of that, just in case, number one, you don't want to spill it, and number two, you don't want to inhale it or anything like that. So even though it is odorless. But anyway, that's all that coloured. Let's get back to this. Ended up not using those. That was fine. I'm quite happy with the way they're looking. So we're going to die cut those out now. I'd be interested to know what you think, Deb, if you use the Gamsol. No, you don't want to have a small puppy drinking it. No, you want to keep it away from animals. That's most definitely. Okay, so there's my dies. Let's just cut this one down a bit. Now I think I will use my Post-it note just to hold this in place. Now this is the Post-it note I just get from Officeworks. Don't think it's as strong as the actual Post-it note, because this one's by Burroughs. Don't think it's as strong as the Post-it note by Post-it note, if that makes sense. But I haven't seen that particular one in our stores here, but I know you can get it from Amazon, but I haven't because it's quite expensive, I think. He's so quick. Put the Roadrunner. Yeah, so your puppy puts the Roadrunner to shame. Oh dear. My sister has been having a lovely time with puppies. She's got what has she got? Kelpies, farm dogs. But she's got a little girl and a little boy, and they're not quite puppies anymore. Well, they're definitely not puppies anymore. They've just become parents. She discovered that one of them was pregnant, and that was like, okay, that's a surprise. Hadn't even got a chance to take it to the vet, and she had a puppy. So, yeah, it was a border collie. Yeah, that's what yours is, a border collie. Yeah, well, my sister's is a border collie too, and it had 5 puppies, but only one has survived. It looks so cute though. It's only a couple of weeks old now. But yeah, it was just quite funny the way my mum was telling me that one minute she finds out the dog's pregnant, and the next minute it's like 2 weeks later she goes into the shed and there's some little puppies. So their family grew quite quickly and unexpectedly. Oh, yours is a cavadoodle. Oh, I would love one of them. But my husband has said no. We used to have a big bull mastiff when we lived in Sydney. Lived in a terrace with this great big huge bull mastiff. And he was beautiful. Slobber everywhere. His name was Hooch, as in Hooch in the movie. Except the Hooch in the movie was actually a French bull mastiff, I think, which is I can never pronounce it. Dojovo, something or other. He's a complete nutter. Yeah. And then we bought the house out at Mittagong because it was on half an acre, with the idea of bringing Hooch out here and breeding him, but unfortunately he didn't quite make it out here. He had an accident and couldn't be. He's now in puppy dog heaven, unfortunately. But he's been gone now for quite a long time, but still sadly missed. Even though my 2 younger boys never knew him, they always, I suppose because we've talked about him so often, it's always like they talk about him as if they knew him. But it was the most beautiful, placid dog. That's it. That's what they're called. Doggy de Bordeaux. Yeah, well, Hooch was an American Mastiff, so he had a long snout, but he was just the most, the vets loved him because he was placid and trying to work out which ways this music goes. He got bitten by another dog once, and he just let the vets didn't have to knock him out or anything to stitch him back up. He just laid there and let them do it. Everybody loved him. He was the most gorgeous animal. We've never had a dog since. So I don't think my husband really wants one at the moment, until he's one of these people that believes if you're going to have a dog, you've got to be there to bring it up. Oh, it's as in Vogue. So, I'll just let you pronounce it, Jenny. I'm terrible at things like that. I'll trim that down a little bit. So that's the piece I want to put at the side. So that's about 1 inch wide or 2.5 centimeters wide. So the idea is that's going to go onto there like that. And then these pieces, now whether I'll need the whole 3 or just use the 2. So that one there could come down like that. Just trying to work out how would be the best way. Because as I said, I've sort of taken this idea from a friend. It's like having kids. You have to spend time with them. Yeah, you do, Glenda. And when we got our dog, my husband wasn't working, so he was able to spend, like, everywhere he went, the dog went. And yeah, he was the best. Okay, let's just have a play with this. So how are we going to do this? This whole idea could change at any minute yet. It's not going to look like it's going to work out. Okay. Definitely don't need the 3. Don't like that as much, but it's not too bad. To me, because they're crossing over there, it's almost like you've got to have, but that doesn't look too bad, does it? Oh, my die cutting wasn't great on that one. Let's just slip that one out and put this one in. So that can go there like that. We can put our sentiment across here. So let's just pop that all to one side. We'll move that. Now I've got this piece of Making Spirits Bright, I think, is the sentiment I want to use. I think sometimes when you play with something for the first time, you really just got to be open to different ideas and changes. And Okay. Now I've got all the colours here of... Okay, so they're all the colours that coordinate with the paper, not that we've used it all. So we've used Old Olive, we've used Cherry Cobbler, Real Red. We've got the strip of paper running down the sides, which picks up your pecan pie. So at the moment I'm trying to work out, we could do your garden green for your sentiment. I could use black or maybe even Cherry Cobbler. Don't think I want to bring in the pecan pie, even though I like it. I think it could be a little bit light. I want something with a bit of depth. So what do you think? We could go pecan pie, or we could go cherry cobbler, not pecan pie, black or cherry cobbler. At the moment, I think I'm going to go towards cherry cobbler. We'll try that. If we don't like it, we'll go black. Finn wouldn't go outside before when Mike wanted him to. Now he has barking to let him out. Yeah. Everyone was scared of our dog. We lived in Newtown, in the inner city. And everyone used to come past our place, would cross over and walk down the other side. Don't know why they were scared, because it was a big pussy cat. Okay, I don't know whether I've got that in the right spot, but I think that will do for the moment. It's not too bad. I wanted it in the middle, but gee, I mustn't have used that stamp pad for a long time. It's very tight, so it must be almost brand new. Okay, let's just clean that off. Remember, your photopolymer stamps will stain. Don't worry, the colour won't transfer to your next project. And let's just move some of these out of the road. So what I'm thinking at the moment, I'll show you another little trick if I've got. What I'm thinking at the moment, I don't want to do, like that's going to make, if I cut that and then cut that here, that's going to make quite a wide strip going across my card. Don't necessarily want that. So what I'm thinking at the moment is having it narrow here at the ends. Now, whether I keep the ends on there or not is another thing. And then cut around. So I'm going to have to fussy cut this. But if you're a bit concerned about your fussy cutting, just trying to have a look, see if I've got a fine pencil here. Yep. What you can do is using a ruler or even by hand, let's move that up a little bit. Draw a little line. And that's basically going to be my cutting line. And then sometimes what you can do a little bit of a pencil mark. I mean, this pencil will just rub off with a rubber, but you can go around, all the way around, giving yourself a bit of a border, just very lightly. So you've got an idea of where you want to cut. So I don't know whether you can see that, but I've just got a very faint line all the way around. So if you're just a bit worried about fussy cutting, especially when you're going from a straight cut then to a curve cut, and remember, you basically keep your scissors still and you move your paper. Now, if you do cut something a little bit wrong, you can always come back and just tidy it up. I'm not staying on the pencil line. It's just acting as a guide for me, and I'll get a rubber in a moment and just give that a good so I always just keep a white soft rubber handy and just hold that down fairly firm and just give that a good because it is fine. It does want to bend a little bit, so you just need to hold that down firmly. Okay. So there's that. Now at the moment I'm thinking that's just going to go across there. Trim that down a little bit, or I can cut them off on either side. I might cut them off. I think they're a little bit narrow to be, so I'm going to trim that part off. And that'll probably go more across there like that. Okay, we're starting to get a bit of a plan put together. If a mastiff barks, it shows on the Richter scale. Does it? Never knew that. Hooch never barked a lot. He did when people walked past the house he didn't like. And there was different races he didn't like. Don't know why. Okay, so one other thing I think I might want to try to die cut out. This also has some of these ferny pieces. I just want to soften this up a little bit. So I've got a scrap of basic white there, and I'm going to cut a couple of these out. Thank you, Anne. They're big sooks, though, mastiffs, bull mastiffs. People think they're so scary, but they're not. Mind you, ours looked like it was a bit scary because we had a big studded collar on him. And I keep telling my husband I wanted a little dog that would come and sit on my lap, because Hooch used to sit on my lap until I fell pregnant and then stopped. Didn't have to tell him twice. I think he just knew as soon as I became pregnant, he just stayed right away from me. But he was good to have because he was a protector, because my husband was working shift work back then, and there was times that I was home on my own, and it was always safe. Always felt very safe with the dog in the house with me. You have a mastiff next door. Yeah, they can be a little bit aggressive. I think it depends on how you train them. But that's a lot with most dogs, is how you train them. I know Hooch used to get aggressive if someone tried to climb over the fence, if someone tried to come into our yard. Even when they were, like, we had neighbours that were forever locking themselves out of their house. They were young uni students, and I haven't quite got enough on that piece. So let me just grab another piece of basic white, because I want to have 3 just in case. And I used to let them climb over the fence because I knew them. But, oh, he was happy with them in the yard. As soon as they got up on that fence, no, he just didn't. He did not like them. So, Yeah, they're a hunting dog. That's the thing. They're a dog the English used to use for hunting, but not hunting as in they would attack the prey. They would basically, I think, go and fetch it and that sort of thing. Or they were used for catching. When people used to go onto properties and kill all the birds or the game and everything. Poachers, that's the word I was looking for. They used to, they were used by the English for catching poachers, but because they had a big muzzle, they would hold them down, not necessarily bite them or anything like that or break the skin, but just able to hold them down. And they were a big dog, so they could sit on them. So from our research, that's what we found out. But they can also be big pussycats. We used to have a couple of friends that want to come over with it and visiting with their dogs, and it was like, well, our dog will eat your dog. We'll have it for breakfast. Okay, so the idea here is we might stick a couple of these in around here just to give it a bit of lightness. Now, the other thing is there's that stamp here that I really like. Whether we need it or not is another thing, because if I stamp it, I want it in something quite light, and I don't think I'm going to get the lightness. I think for now, until I play with this a bit more, I might leave it because I'm not quite sure. Your daughter has a magnificent Mastiff Great Dane cross. He's a lovable boy with so sense of personal space. Yeah, knocks things flying. Yep, that's right. They're funny, the Great Danes and Mastiffs when they're puppies, because they have such big, huge feet. A number of people used to stop us and sort of say, look at his feet. They sort of got to grow into their own bodies, grow into themselves. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful animals. But he'd be a big boy mixed with Great Dane and Mastiff mixed together. Oh, a big, big one. My husband did a thing, I think it was online or through, he found out through the show, through Easter show in Sydney one time when he went before we got Hooch, and what breed suited like your home and your living environment and so forth. And because we lived in a terrace house with not much space, like outdoor space, that he was a good breed to have, because he's not they're quieter, like they will sleep most of the day sort of thing, rather than wanting to be exercised all the time. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to pop a few dimensionals on the back, because I want them sort of, these sort of sitting up a little bit. So at the moment I'm sort of looking at maybe going, just got to remember how I had this, because I want to have these overlapping a little bit. So we don't want to put, got to have them overlapping the right amount. So I'm going to pop a little bit of glue on that. I probably should have done this before I put dimensionals on the other one, but that's okay. Now, did we have it going that way a bit? That's what I think we might do, is we'll have it going like that. some reason I like having the idea of those 2 points coming sort of where that brown part is. Bear is a rescue dog. Oh, okay. Yeah, these rescue dogs. My son's got a rescue dog, and yeah, he's got a few little problems. Well, she has. Loves my son to bits. I think if my son ever gets a girlfriend, it's going to be the girlfriend's going to have issues trying to get this dog to welcome her as well. But anyway, that will be their problem and not mine. And she's a stumpy tail cattle dog. Very nice looking dog too, but very much my son's dog. Won't have anything to do with me. Will actually nip and bark at me, but then that's what cattle dogs do. Okay. So I just want to pop that like that. So far, so good. Making spirits is going to go across there, so I'm going to pop. Might use mini dimensionals on this. Pop one there. Because that all can get glued down, but I need a little half one on there. All these little ends around here are really good because I always like to cut these up, especially on this mini one, because they're longer and thinner. And I like to pop them into areas like that. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue on there, take the backing off that one. That. We have some great conversations when we're here. We're not just talking about dogs. We've become such good friends. We all talk about all sorts of things, which is lovely. I really love getting together with you guys and doing a bit of crafting, or having you watching me craft anyway. So that's just making sure that I've got that on straight because it looks a little bit crooked. That's just covering up that where they all join. And then I just want to pop a couple of these because I love texture. Normally I don't do single layer cards because I love to have layers and textures and things like that. So this is a little bit different. Cattle dogs can be aggressive. Yeah, they can be because they're bred to nip at the heels of the cattle. But this one won't let me touch her face. Not that I ever want to touch her face. Last time I tried to touch her flank and she still turned around and nipped at me. So she's finished her puppy training and he's going to take her. He's waiting to get in to take her to obedience or more sort of obedience type things because I think a few people have said there's a bit of an issue. So, but anyway, I'm hoping this will give us a little bit of texture behind the background of this. So we're just going to slip them up into there. And that's sort of just bringing that out a little bit. Now, whether I need to put any more, because this one here, they're quite big. Don't know whether we need to. I don't think I'm going to have room. So I've only cut 3. We can easily cut a 4th one. I can slip another one like that down there, and I think that actually might be enough if I put another one down there because it's bringing sort of more weight to the bottom of the card rather than looking at like it's evenly spaced. So that's that. The only thing I do want to do with this card is, let's just pop those to one side. Let's do something on the inside. So let me grab another piece of basic white. I'm going to cut this at 10 and at 14.4. Now we still have that piece of, should have it here, the music paper that's left over, wherever I popped it. There it is, it's just underneath. So we could cut another piece of that. I'm not going to cut it as wide, so I'm cutting this one about 1.5 centimeters. Again, by the 14.4. Okay, so I'm going to pop that in there. Might as well use all this up. Now some of that is going to get cut off. Trim that down, and then might just have to trim that down a little bit more. Tell you what might be easy to trim that down is if I can grab hold of this little trimmer here. Let's put my lid on that before it dries out. That whole piece has moved across a little bit. Let's see if we can trim this all down. Doesn't want to cut through that bit. Still got to cut with that with the scissors. There we go. Still had to use scissors on that. Do you use the bits you cut off elsewhere or throw them away? Little bits like that, I'm just going to, well, I can't even find those, but those little pieces were quite tiny. So they will just get thrown away, Kathleen. If they're bigger pieces and reusable, then yes, I will keep them and maybe use them somewhere else. Like sometimes on the front of a card, I may have trimmed something away, and then I'll use those cut off pieces on the inside of my card to help decorate the inside. But those pieces were actually very tiny, and really not worth keeping. But if you're going to, like a piece of designer series paper, say, for example, if I used more designer series paper on the front of my card, then whatever is left over I will use for that decorative strip there, or a decorative piece across here. Just depends on how much you've got. I try not to keep a lot of offcuts. Sometimes, I mean, I used to keep a huge amount, but then found that I had more little scrappy bits than I had in worthwhile bits. So even now with when I'm trimming cardstock, that's probably about the smallest piece I will now keep, because I can put a sentiment on that, or I can maybe die cut something out of it. But yeah, anything smaller than that in just basic coloured cardstock I don't do, because I worked out years ago, it's all the prices and everything have changed, so it's somewhere between 30 to 40 cents for one sheet of cardstock. So by the time you start cutting that down to half a sheet and then to a quarter of a sheet and then smaller and smaller, you're really only getting to about 1 or 2 cents that piece is worth. So it just depends on whether you've got room to store little bits. I don't. So I don't even keep things like that. And this is, as I said, this is the smallest I keep. And what I have is these plastic folders here were scrapbook pages, and I've cut, so that's the 12 inches that way, and it was 12 inches this way, and I've just cut them down to an A4 size, and then I keep any little scraps or anything like that I might keep in here. You know, I've got a piece in here that I've even stamped on, and I'll throw it in here, and then that gets stored in with my cardstock. So I've got all the same colours all together, except for, excuse me, basic white. Basic white I've sort of got popped in within hands of each, because normally it's way down that end. So I've got like pigeonholes in here with all my different cardstock in it, and I'll have one of these for every colour in that pigeonhole with the rest of that colour. So so hence I've got, like I pulled out before we started this class because I didn't know what colours I was going to be using, but you know, here are all my offcuts. So after I cut a piece of cardstock in half, I will then put them into bits and pieces into folders like that, and because name each folder as well, so I know where it goes to. But that's how I look after and store all my offcuts that I do keep. But as I said, I don't keep ones that are really small, just don't have the room. Hope that's helped you a little bit. But anyway, there's my card, and I'm actually quite happy with that. You could add, because it does probably need a little bit of, I mean, I'm not a blingy person myself. I am tend to be using a little bit more bling. So let's just have a look, because it might just put a little bit of bling on here. Let's see what we've got that it would go. Those would work really well, I think. Also like that rustic, but I think I like them, but only in the small ones. I wouldn't use the big ones. Because I just want to use just a few of these. I don't want to use too many. And I like to use this in a triangle, so just working out where my triangle is going to be. So one there. One there. And that will just bring your eye back into that sentiment there. So there you go. There's my first card using this particular suite. I hope you've enjoyed that. So as I said, earlier in the piece, if you don't have a demonstrator and you would like a copy of our mini catalogue and you live here in Australia, let me know and I can get one out to you. I hope you can join me again next week, Tuesday evening at 7:30, and then again next Friday at 1 o'clock, where we can make another card. And I'll see if I can squeeze a bit of money out of my poor looking bank account and get some more of this particular suite so we can do some more with it. So thank you very much for joining me today. It's been lovely having a chat about dogs and our card. It's lovely. So have a lovely day. Enjoy the weekend, and I hope you get some nice warm weather where you are. Bye for now. See you later.